Kia ora, my name's Lucy Chamberlain, and I work for the Department of Internal Affairs in the Community Operations area. We administer quite a lot of grant funding, lottery, which I'm sure some of you will be familiar with, the COGS schemes and a number of other Crown schemes. I've brought with me Maria, and today we want to talk about one of the Crown schemes that we think is quite innovative in terms of its approach. It's the Community Development Scheme. The scheme is really about communities identifying their own outcomes and working towards achieving them, and us assisting them through a funding arrangement to do that.
Yep. Ngā mihi mahana kia koutou, I tēnei wā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Like you said, my name's Maria Burgess. I work in community development under the umbrella of Pōrero Living Without Violence. I think I'm going to speak on the project itself, just to give you an idea on where the funding goes. We focus and deliver in a suburb of eastern Pōrero called Waitangirua, population of approximately 4,038 people. The population itself is a low socio-economic area and very diverse and multicultural. We have increasing Burmese and Colombian people migrating into the region itself. There are a number of religious groups, and of course Pōrero, there's a very high gang presence up there, and there has been since the 1970s. Marairo Marae is one of the other health services up there. They also provide programs for the community there, so there are other services there, but the community development project is focused on I guess the maybe the hard to reach group that aren't being reached with these services. So, yeah. The project itself focuses on, of course, Pōrero Living Without Violence. We promote violence-free in our community, and we wanted to strengthen the community and the relationships, reduce social isolation, especially with the gang community, because they're living there, and that's just that we have to try and reduce their isolation they portray themselves in. And apart from all the negative stuff, we celebrate some great cultural diversity in the community as well, and developing community. We work towards developing community capacity and capabilities and providing resources. Our structure, Pōrero Living Without Violence is governed by a collective. I think you have it in your packs, by the two refuges out there, women's refuges, General and the Māori Women's Refuge. And we run, of course, the anger management programs for men and women, a variety of programs for the women, and a children's program, and all the information's in your packs there. And on the side here, we have a little community development scheme that we have under the Department of Internal Affairs, and that's me. I'm all by myself there. See, I'm there by myself. So that's what my primary role is. Yeah.
Funding for this is administered by the department, and essentially our role is to support community hapu iwi to develop strong, sustainable communities. So that's what we're looking to do in terms of our overall objective. And a community development scheme fits into that. How we administer it really is that we have three, we identify priority areas and priority communities that we want to work with, and we seek applications from them. Part of our role is we have a community advisory service, so we have community development workers working out in communities, and they help identify and assist applicant parties who might come into the fund. And I think that relationship is ongoing as the project progresses, and that's quite a key part to sort of bringing this program together. We're really looking to get communities to look at how they can work in new ways, how they can be innovative, basically generating their own solutions to the local issues that they're facing, and being more self-reliant and resilient. So unlike perhaps maybe the other funding schemes in contracting that's been talked about today, we don't have identified outcomes that we're looking for those communities to achieve, apart from our overall aim of that strong, sustainable community. So a key part of the fund is getting the community to work together and identify what its needs are, what it wants to be doing, and then to support that project going through over a period of time. So the projects are funded for a 3-year period, and essentially the prescription that we do have around them is that primarily the funding that's used is used to employ a community development worker. There is some other resourcing around the project, but the primary thing is to get a community development worker working in that community and working over that 3-year period. The renewal of funding each year is subject to the recipient organisation meeting the accountability requirements. So there's regular reporting, and at the end of that year, once those things are satisfied, we move into a funding round for the next year. There's also currently provision for a 4th additional year if the project's going well, and there are strong outcomes coming through, and there's a need for it to continue longer. So apart from the fact that you have to spend most of it on a development worker, there's a lot of flexibility about what you're going to do within the project and how that community is going to respond to its needs.
And I think when we first got the contract, we sat down with the Department of Internal Affairs and looked at the outcomes. We discussed at the time why we focused on Waitangi-Rua. 3-4 years ago, we had 2 murders in the community in the spate within 1 month, and they were both gang-related, and the community was really uneased. So Puri Living Without Violence thought we need to get out there and do something, and this grant came up, so we applied, and so we looked at what do we want the outcomes to be. So it was more interactive activities available for the community, and increase the connectedness again, because I remember back in the 70s, early 80s, I'm not that old, I remember it was a bustling community, and then it just went, because the mall closed and it just went to the pack, graffitied, and it was, so it was getting the community to take ownership of the community again and not to be afraid. So what we did was we sat down, called a community forum, put advertisements in the paper and drew in the community and talked to them about steps to move forward. We formed a residents focus group out of that. So that was the community development worker assisted the community to form a residents focus group to focus on the issues and how to address them. I mean, we didn't have a magic wand, of course, but the things like the celebrations, the family festivals, which with the grant money we were able to fund, and in association with Puri City Council, we were able to bring in free little merry-go-rounds and go-karts for the kids, and it was just, they were just the looks on their faces. So that was a real success. It just brought the community out in droves, and we had street barbecues. So it got them out of their houses. We met all the new Colombian people who couldn't speak English. They can speak a bit now, but it was really good. And out of that, we brought out the gang community, and a bunch of women there that I talked to come along to the residents focus group, and out of that we started a mothers group with just the gang women, because there was a church group running for mothers, and there was also one up the marae, but they always felt, of course, isolated and thought, they just judge us. So I said, well, why not start your own? And in association with Wesley Community Action, who had moved into the hood, as well as me at the same time, we got this mothers group up and running, and we help them, we open doors for them. We have 7 of our women now going into social service study next year to train for social work. So these are some of the really good outcomes. They're attending council meetings. We're building a big park up there in the mall car park. The council have done village planning up there and spent a lot of money on this cool park that they've come in and painted, planted trees. So it's gotten them out of that rut and into the community, working with the community. And and these are just some of the events we have, just a touch. It's only a few. We do have a lot more, but wouldn't all fit on there. But we had a Waitai's Got Talent. The kids came out. Tariana Turia joined us. She comes to all our events now. She's a big fan. Women's Day, celebrating women's health, family festivals, and the Life Without You Memoriam Day. That was the thing for the gang women. We let them organise, plan it, and it was about the women and children they'd lost in their lives in the gang. So that was a real, very emotional day for them, and from there, that was in July. From July until now, they've just gone forward, so that's been a real good outcome. And all these things, I report monthly to the department on what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and yeah, it's my accountability to them. And I didn't have to, I just said this is what I'll do, and they agreed. Just to school holiday programs, Wesley Community Action run 4 days a week of the 2 weeks, so I jumped on board with them, and Monday Mumsies, that's the name of the mothers group, they come along and help watch over the kids and assist us when we take them to Te Papa and the zoo and stuff like that. So I've formed a good relationship with Wesley Community Action, who will of course continue to deliver this community development after the end of this project. So that was my main focus. What about when the project's over, who's going to carry on? And I work closely with the department on how that's happening, how that's working, because we're in our final year.
So I think that probably really clearly illustrates how successful the project's been. I think as a department, we've been really proud to just be able to support it through the funding and really appreciative of what's happened as a result of it. We kind of had 2 areas of the code to link to, which was integrity and accountability. And we kind of picked off some areas that covered sections of the code. But I think in general, we managed to have accountability for public resources while having quite a bit of flexibility about what those things are going to achieve and how they're going to be used. And I think that's a real strength of the fund. And I think particularly the level of reporting, we're always trying to sort of lower compliance, but I think the reporting's been helpful on both sides, definitely, because the reporting is really about the reporting against the outcomes. There's a little bit of financial reporting as well, but it's really like, how's the project going and what are you achieving? And also, when things need to change, it's an opportunity to look and revisit there. I don't know.
We propose the year ahead with the next year's funding. We put a proposal on how we're going to spend it. The department look at it and agree, and there is room for flexibility because it's a forecast, so things change in forecasts. So, and then in the next quarter we'll report if it has changed or if we've gone this way instead of that way. We'll explain all that, and I think that template is really, really helpful. I mean, it doesn't tell you what needs to be done. It asks you what are the outcomes and how is it working. So it's really good. I find it really helpful.
And I guess there were some other things that are really in the funding agreement around job descriptions and management capabilities and clarity of roles as well. I guess the other way I think we support the sort of integrity is around our community development worker and the kind of ongoing role they have with the project in terms of as a port of call if there's something going on as a reference point and to be able to sort of have those discussions and support the project through is probably another key way that integrity sort of works for us. I guess a lot of it is really based on the trusting that the community will come up with good outcomes for themselves, and that really probably is the foundation of the fund, and therefore that's kind of reflected in the agreement and the processes around it. But oops, I forgot to move that on, and then finally accountability. There is the progress and the reporting aspect that we've talked about. And I guess just the level of communication. We did have a bit of an issue with this project, which yes. I won't go into, but it was a significant issue at one point. And I have to say that Porirua Living Without Violence came to us. They were very upfront about what was quite a serious concern.
Wasn't me.
And we were able to work out and negotiate how we could address that. And I think it resolved well. It didn't jeopardise the project going forward, and it really demonstrated, the key is this level of communication and trust, and that if you feel you can come and say when something's gone wrong, it's much easier to sort it out. So, yeah.
Thank you.